Mental health is not a destination, but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you are going. I'm going to show you this beautiful quote by Maya Angelou. You may encounter defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter these defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it. We can truly reach our highest potential when we are at our lowest. Only rock bottom can teach us lessons that the top could never do. Throughout this video, I'm going to share with you my daily mental health routine and the history of my mental health journey. It's been a long history, and as you guys know here on this channel, we are about finding our strength in the storm. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. We can make changes when we are at our lowest. I'm living proof of this. I made this weight loss transformation after being in years of chronic pain and in years just crippled by depression and anxiety. But the most important thing that we can do on our journey to mental health is to never give up on ourselves, to find a way to move forward. So my daily routine is usually I wake up, I take care of my son, get the dog ready, get her food, get my son food. Usually I get him dressed and ready to go to school. And then I usually come back home, I meditate, I journal, and normally I shower and brush my teeth before all of that, but you guys get the hint. Get my son ready, then I go off, have a shower, put on my makeup, and brush my teeth and start the day. And once I get all that done, I usually take time to journal. It's imperative that I journal on the daily because journaling really does help get out my emotions, just get it out on paper where I'm able to objectively see them instead of letting that primitive mind take over and those emotions take over. I can use the logical side of my brain to just get stuff done. Usually I journal, then after that I meditate, take my time to meditate. I've been using Insight Timer since 2013 when it was introduced to me by the first therapist I've ever seen. And now we're gonna dive into a history of my mental health journey and how it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to struggle. In a world of social media where everyone expects you to be happy and glowing and be fake, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna create content that is authentic to me and authentic to my journey. And that will attract authentic people who relate to my journey. It's not about putting on a show. It's about getting results and showing you that you can get through your hard. If I can do my hard, you can do your hard, no matter how hard it is. It's all about mindset and a determined spirit to love yourself into the best version of yourself. Now let's jump into my mental health history, and I hope it inspires you to continue on with your journey if you are struggling with mental health or going through a stressful time. Right, so today is World Mental Health Day, and I just want to share with you my journey through navigating getting mental health. Like, it's been since 2013, so about 9 years I've been on this mental health journey. I struggled with mental health ever since I was a child, but I had no idea what it was. When I was a teenager, I did things that I'm not going to elaborate too much on, but I was self-harming and I was purging and what have you. And I just didn't understand why. Like, my emotions would be so out of control that I would do that to myself. But, you know, I was generally a happy person. I literally did not show anyone my sadness. No one knew I was sad. I did this on my own. I hid in my room. That was my safe space, and that's where I was coping. And I'm just so glad now that people are more open to talking about mental health and brain health, which are two things that are very important. But I'm gonna talk about my journey and when I got diagnosed and where I'm at right now with my mental health journey, which is a continuing process. So back in 2013, I decided to see a therapist. I knew I had a lot of problems and I just didn't understand why. And my first therapist, who I met back in Toronto, she worked at my doctor's office, introduced me to mindfulness. And that was when I started meditating. Meditation has been a blessing in my life because it has allowed me to really connect with myself and understand myself. The purpose of meditation is to not get rid of your feeling. It is to be with that feeling and to connect with yourself. And eventually when you be with that feeling and you're present with it, it becomes free. Linked in the description below, I will share with you a free meditation course by Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock, who are probably one of the lead psychologists. I know Tara is a psychologist. I'm not sure what Jack is, but the lead psychologists are mental health experts when it comes to mindfulness, and they offer a free course. So I'll link it down below so you guys can go through that course, as I'm currently going through that course right now. So I saw my therapist and then I wanted to get a diagnosis. I wanted to know what was going on with me. So back in Toronto, navigating the mental health system is a headache and a half. So I can only see people if I was in a very dire situation. So if either I was a drug addict or I was like depressed to the point that I didn't want to continue any on, but I wasn't at that point yet. And that's the sad part about the system, is that you have to be at your breaking point in order to get help. No, you should be able to get help when you recognize that you're struggling and you want to get help. So I saw a psychiatrist and they pretty much diagnosed me with major depression disorder, traits of emotional dysregulation, and PMDD. That's where I figured out that I struggled with the hormonal fluctuations of being a woman. I'm very sensitive to it, and it would make sense because when I gave birth to my son and going through that pregnancy, I literally threw up every day of that pregnancy. Like, my body was so sensitive to the hormones. I threw up from week 8 all the way to labor. Like, I was not eating when I was pregnant. I was losing weight. Cue in that the next year, I ended up getting pregnant and I had my beautiful, beautiful baby boy. And after pregnancy, I noticed I had a lot of back pain and hip pain, and everyone was like, oh, it's normal, you know, you'll feel better around like this 6-month mark. All right, I chilled, I waited, I'm like, okay, it's the normal feelings of giving birth, of postpartum issues. Come 6 months, and I wanted to return back to the gym. I went to the gym and I was just doing a plank, a normal plank, and literally I felt this sharp pain like down my entire body, and I just like shook, and I was like, okay, I think this is more than postpartum pain. So I go to my doctor and I tell her about this pain. It took 6 months for us to get imaging results. That's Toronto for you. When literally I just went in, saw my doctor last week here in Alberta, asked for a requisition for some imaging, and I got it within a week. Toronto, you're waiting 6 months for an MRI because we thought it was a slip disc, because I had pain radiating down my lower back to my upper back, down my left leg. Turns out the imaging was clear. And that's when my mental health went downhill, because I'm like, there is something wrong with me. Why cannot the doctors figure it out? That was a really hard time in my life. I got so depressed. I had so many health issues. I was pushing up to 300 pounds. I had a baby who I gave all my life to. Literally all my energy went to my son. And then it was just a 3-year spiral of constantly being in pain, seeing physio after physio, and not getting answers. Cue in 2017, the worst year of my life. I had a mental breakdown because living in that much chronic pain, people don't understand because they don't see the pain. They don't see the injury. Like, hey, my foot's broken. Yeah, you would see that. But when you're dealing with neuropathic nerve pain, people don't see it. And, you know, they just really expect you to just suck it up and move on. And that's what I was doing. But eventually I broke and I was hospitalized for depression, anxiety, and pain issues. I was in the hospital for about 3 months for my mental health. That was fun. My relationship was gone. A lot of stuff happened. Something I want to share, but I don't know if I should share it. Why not? I ended up meeting someone at the hospital and I ended up hooking up with them. That was a bad thing to do. Don't do that. Anyway, that was in the past. I was so messed up, but I'm just laughing at myself of my situation because there's a lot of things I do that I will not mention on camera, but I share, but I don't share everything. But anyway, fast forward to that. I was in the hospital. I did a bunch of group therapy, which I hated. And I remember at the time during my group therapy session, someone literally called me fat in front of everybody. And I got so upset. And after that day, I did not want to do group therapy ever again. Because for some reason, in the system back in Ontario and in Toronto, they just want to shove people into group therapy. And there are a lot of people out there who should not be in group therapy, but they end up doing so. Anyway, after the whole hospital spiel, I ended up seeing my physiatrist, got pelvic floor physiotherapy, took care of the pain, and that's when my weight loss journey started rolling in around 2018 and 2019. And throughout that journey, I ended up trying to get into a trauma program because I know the root cause of all of my illnesses was cPTSD, which stands for complex post-traumatic stress syndrome, which I've had from issues from my childhood and adulthood and the whole lot. So I got into a trauma program after waiting on a 1-year waiting list. And again, it was group therapy. You should have seen my face when I found that out. And again, there were certain characters at the group therapy who should not be there. So I wasn't happy about that. The system was so stupid. To get proper therapy, I needed to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars that I didn't have. And at the time, we didn't have a good insurance plan like we do now here. So it was rough just navigating through all of that. After going through that group therapy, I ended up seeing another psychiatrist who one time diagnosed me. So back in Toronto, again, if you want to see a psychiatrist, you need to be either on your deathbed or addicted to drugs. And I wasn't on either. So you would only get one-time appointments with them, and it was really frustrating. So he also diagnosed me with disordered eating, and that's when I also went into therapy for eating disorders. However, that experience was a bit chaotic because a lot of the people there were there for the eating disorder where they restrict food, and I was there for the disordered eating with overeating and restricting. So a lot of the people were like against exercise and losing weight, and I was just like, whoa. I'm like pushing like 300, I'm like over 200 pounds here. I need to lose weight. It's okay to lose weight. I'm validated in my journey to losing weight because I'm unhealthy. And I just left that therapy session because it wasn't working out for me. In 2019, I just continued on doing therapy with my regular therapist. And then the pandemic hit, and that's when we decided that we wanted to move across the country and not ever live in Ontario again because it was chaotic during the pandemic there. So we got our resources together, got up and moved across the country. Now, change is not easy for me at all. It's hard. So adjusting to life in Alberta was a challenge at first, but I was determined. I was sticking with my weight loss journey. I was hanging through there. And then in 2021, I started my journey working in the trades, became a new home construction plumber, started doing all of that. Then there was issues with work and finding sustainable work in that field, just dealing with complete on the job. So I switched companies and so forth, got laid off in winter, which led me to 2022. So early 2022, I decided to return to therapy because I was really struggling with BED. I was just coping with all the chaos in the world with food, and that is an unhealthy way to cope. We don't cope with food, we cope with proper mental health coping mechanisms. We cope with exercise if it's for you, because there are some people who have issues with over-exercising. I'm not that person. It all depends on your situation. So I ended up meeting a therapist online who was amazing. Don't get me wrong, she was amazing. She was what I needed at the time. But then cue in May 2022. And May 2022 is when I got into the car accident and I hit my head, wrecked my hip and my lower back and my neck and a whole lot. And someone with a history of trauma, who's never had physical trauma to their brain, but has had a lot of emotional trauma, adding the physical trauma to my already traumatic brain did not make the situation better at all. So here we are. Felt like I was back in 2017. I was in chronic pain from my upper body. Lower body, I'm used to being in pain there, but the upper body pain was new. Chronic headaches and the whole lot. You guys know my journey with the concussion symptoms, and basically why I disappeared for those 3 months is because I was down. I was down and out. But then I remember I made a promise to myself back in 2017, and I said I was never ever going to give up on myself. And that I did not do. I fought and fought and fought. I tried to find ways to help myself with binge eating. I tried fasting, didn't work. I tried calorie restriction, didn't work. So I'm like, hey, I need to see somebody because this accident is making things harder. And having these 50-minute time therapy sessions with my current therapist at the time wasn't working online. So cue in me meeting my psychologist in about late August to early September, and that's where things began to change. So a big shout out to the province of Alberta for having excellent, and I mean excellent, mental health services for adults. Like, I met my psychologist who introduced to me EMDR. I heard about EMDR. My old therapist back in Toronto was studying it. I thought it was crazy. I didn't think it made sense. I gave it a try, and I'm a very open person. And EMDR is basically a type of therapy where it helps you reprocess trauma using eye movement, using sounds, using tapping. There's a whole world to EMDR, and my therapist or psychologist was really trained in it, and she gave me a session. It was kind of hard, and then a few days after that session, I literally binged. That was the beginning of September. You guys know the story if you've been watching my videos. I literally binged for 4 days straight, then things just fell into place. Like, I got control of my emotions. I was able to not depend on food, and that's when the weight loss started happening drastically. So the EMDR sessions, we were doing it for processing trauma from the accident and processing my ability to not give into overeating like for the whole day straight through and through. And the EMDR session, she would have me close my eyes and I would listen to the tapping, and she'd be like, imagine yourself going to the fridge, feeling hungry, even though you just ate, and not grabbing anything. And I would just process that and just do that. And what do you know, a few days later, hey, I didn't go to the fridge and binged eat. So that was a win. EMDR can be very powerful for weight loss. I had no idea. But don't think it's a tool just for weight loss. It's not. EMDR is specifically outlining the trauma in the brain, and that gets us to do certain activities that are unhealthy. But it's been helping me tremendously with my BED. And now, here I am in October. I'm continuing on with therapy, continuing forward. It took me years to find a therapist that has been this effective. So if you are on a mental health journey and you have gone through therapist after therapist, please hang in there. I've been doing this for about 9 years. I've seen so many people, and eventually all those times you went and sought help, they all add up. Don't think just because you went and saw someone and it didn't really work out doesn't mean there isn't any progress being made, because there is. And I share my journey to inspire you. I don't share my journey to put out bad, negative energy. Oop, like Peter said, don't let her live rent-free in your head. People just leave dumb comments that make me go, sometimes. It happened to my girl Jennifer Lynn as well, but lucky, that's the thing you expect when you put yourself out on social media. And lucky God made me the person where I don't give a you-know-what about what other people think. I'm a very headstrong individual, and the only person that can destroy me is me. I know that. I am my own worst enemy. No one else matters. It's me versus me. It's you versus you. No one can hurt you unless you let them hurt you. Just like that David Goggins book says, you can't hurt me. No, you are in control of what you let affect me. Of course other people are gonna affect you. I'm a very sensitive human being. I am an empath, but I've learned through my journey with meditating, taking care of myself, and going through life that, hey, only I can impact me. No matter what other people are doing around me, it is how I internalize it. If you are watching someone on YouTube and you're feeling negative energy, then that means maybe the way you're perceiving life is in a negative way. We are responsible for our own energies. We are responsible for what we put into our lives. Hey, sometimes I watch political YouTube. Right now I haven't been into it because politics is just right now. Step away from it. You gotta know yourself to understand what you're feeling. Some days I wanna watch, Greg Doucette, and then other days I don't wanna watch Greg Doucette. Some days I wanna watch Michelle McDaniel, other days I don't, because I'm not into that at the time. So I have to know where I am and at what place I'm at. So control your energy, stop putting responsibility into other people's hands. That is my message for that. But please know that don't ever give up on yourself. Please, there's been YouTubers I've watched that we've lost because of mental health, and it breaks my heart. And there's been people I know in my life who I've lost to mental health. And I just think when you put a light on a mental health journey and you show people hey, you're not alone, that gives people hope. And that is the purpose of my channel. It's not to entertain, it's to give you guys hope. Yes, I'm entertaining. I know that. I have my moments. I can be a weirdo, but I don't put it on camera. I'll start putting it on a little bit more. Just the things I do with my dog. Anyway, just my goal is to help people, encourage people to keep going through their heart, to show people that they can accomplish their goals no matter what. It's all about how we respond to life. That is our power. Don't give your power away. Don't be a victim, be a victor. Rise and overcome, because you can do it. Yes, it's going to be freaking hard. Oh, it's so hard. Don't get me wrong, but you can go through hard things, and eventually that hard will become easy for you because you have gotten stronger, not because the situation has gotten easier. Anyway, I just thought I would share my journey quickly. I don't know how long this video will be, but let's wrap it up. If you made it this far into the end of the video, please drop in a bunch of brain emojis or type in the word brain. And please know you're so much stronger than you think. This world needs you. We need you. Never ever give up on yourself. And I'm here for anyone, if need be, just to be an ear. Just find me on Instagram and I'm here. Speaking of Instagram, I've noticed that I'm getting messages and it's hiding them. I don't know why it's doing that, but I'll make sure to check that out. And if it's anyone who watches my channel or who I'm familiar with, I always accept their messages. But anyway, I'm sending you guys mad love, and please know the storm always passes. Bye.